Alright, welcome to the now 8th episode of SmashCenter. I'm your host, Suar from PGstats. If this is the first time you're tuning in on Twitch or on YouTube, welcome. This is your source for Smash Ultimate recaps, tournament coverage, controversy coverage, and more. By the week, what we get, we cover. And later on in the show, Coney is of course going to join us. But for today, we're going to get into what happened during the weekend. There was a lot of action, and there was a lot that we're kind of looking towards, because in this season of the PGR, we're seeing some things that we haven't exactly seen before, with tournaments coming out from all over. We have a great assortment for you today, but without really getting much into it, I wanted to draw attention to the fact that, again, if this is your first time watching SmashCenter on YouTube, be sure to hit the like and subscribe button. That's where we're able to, of course, get our reach out and let you know when you have the latest on Smash news ready. But let's go ahead and get into our first tournament we're going to cover this weekend. This weekend being full of many C-tier events, and this being, again, the first season of the PGR for Ultimate. Even these events, as small as they might seem to some, they are instrumental to rankings, and as you'll see in our first tournament here, Ultimate Nimbus, that was the case exactly. So, running right along, we had Ultimate Nimbus happen in Norwalk, California. This was a C-Tier 2 go to Summit and the C-Tier 2 be at. With entrants over 200 plus. We saw many new things that we hadn't seen before from California, especially from Norwalk, where many people from NorCal also came down to also compete. This is the tournament that Void, CLG's own, decided to actually not compete at, since he does have a ticket to Summit. He did win that at Genesis 6. He instead decided to be on commentary instead, which was really well received, and this allowed for him to sort of step aside and let other people who had a chance to make it in, make it in. So Tweak was the favorite to win it all. Of course, Tweak, notably being absent from the Summit, voted in Page. He made it in the very beginning very clear that he was not going to campaign, so he was going to have to win it by Genesis or another tournament. Of course, that did not happen at Genesis, but Nimbus was a tournament that he has set his eye on. Stroder beat Tweak in winners. A Greninja from SoCal, and ZD, the MDVA Fox, actually ended up eliminating him in losers. Stroder, being a SoCal Greninja, as he was in Smash 4, had an amazing run. He beat Leffen, Salem, and Tweak, called the TSM Slayer for the tournament. It was very unexpected by many that we would see Stroder in these sort of capacities, because Greninja, after Leia's showing at Frostbite and Some's absence, many people are now pitting Greninja to be in the upper tiers of the tier list for Smash Ultimate. Again, only being out for now 3 or so months, the competitive lifespan being younger than that. Again, created a very exciting tournament for many to see. Aside from that, Light had an insane winners run. He stayed in winners the entire time, going to multiple Game 5s. He had 2 Game 5s with ESAM, of course, after he got reset in Grand Finals. He did end up taking Game 10, which of course earned him the ticket to Summit. But he had a Game 5 with Salem, Game 5 with Mr. R, and a Game 5 with Eon, a SoCal Pichu who was previously Fox. Now, for Light's case, he of course won that ticket to Summit, so he will be attending. ESAM unfortunately did not win that ticket to attend as a player. But we did see Mr. R for the first time make his American debut in Ultimate during this PGR season. Mr. R being a top 10 multiple time, over 5-time top 10 PGR player. He, of course, in the all-time top 100, he was top 10. But due to visa issues and personal issues as well, Mr. R wasn't able to compete at Frostbite, wasn't able to compete at Genesis, and now being able to make a showing at Nimbus, he did get that top 8 placing that we were expecting for a player such as him. So he, of course, showed up, but of course with him came Pandarian top 8ing as well, 3-0ing Larry Lurr early in bracket. Again, another previously top 10 PGR player in Smash 4. He did go on to be Con and Eon for 7th, losing to a Game 5 to ESAM. Again, the Pikachu that everybody knows. So transitioning for a second, we are going to go over to Europe. We're going to go actually to Barcelona, Spain. This was an incredible showing for Tech Republic 4. Tech Republic 4 being Spain's one of their premier tournaments. Gluttony won the entire event over Meru 3-1 in Grand Finals. Gluttony was never taken to a Game 5 situation during the entire tournament. He went Lucina in Grands as well, which a departure from his usual Wario, the staple to make everybody sort of crumble. Very impressive to see. So now we see character variety from someone as Gluttony. It was a nice win for Gluttony because Smash Summit approaches. Ice Studying got 7th, again the Smash 4 now Ultimate Greninja as well. He got eliminated by Light, not the New England one, but the European German Light. Greninja looked good this weekend between Schroeder and Ice Studying, so again people are starting to adjust their tier lists. Quick got 9th with Samus. Close games are on the board, and we'll most likely see him at Prime Saga in the near future. Prime Saga being hosted by 2GG and featuring the staples of the Metroid Prime series, being Samus, Dark Samus, Zero Suit Samus, and Ridley. Representatives of those characters are currently being voted on, so if you haven't had a chance, check out 2GG/Prime Saga. And of course, we had the lovely Verum with his commentary, and everybody else from the European crew. Props to them. So turning our attention though to Australia for the first time in a long while. Australia gave us Phantom 2019, and this is important to note only because Australia previously in many PGRs were notably absent, and this is mostly due to the fact that representation for them was kind of it was a little bit of a lapse because the biggest tournaments were happening outside of their country and of course not within their country. But Phantom 2019 was a nice departure from that because we got to see a lot of Australia's best duke it out, and we had Loco, an Australian Nest main, get first place over Defective Dagger, who was playing a little bit of Wario. But Loco took the whole thing very convincingly, only dropping a single game in top 8. And again, as a C tier, this will reach within the PGR algorithm a little bit of a stretch from the B or A tiers. But again, competing at these tournaments, winning them, that does not go unnoticed. All unique characters in top 8 with a King K rule in the hands of Mr. L, now joining the ranks with Mr. E and Mr. R as single letter Misters. King K. Rool, of course, has been a character that was stomping the beginning of For Glory, or Elite Smash as we now call it, and was seen as getting nerfed in the most recent patch, version 2.0. And many people even pit him as bottom 10, bottom 15 due to lack of mobility, but of course, King K. Rool can always surprise us. So congrats to Loco. That is an amazing showing for him, an amazing showing for Australia, despite, again, being C tier or not. That is something that will definitely reach the ranks of the PGR. So as a final message, we wanted to quickly go over the final invitees for Summit. We had an incredible run when it came to the voting and also to the win that we just got from Light. So as you'll see here, now talking about Summit, we have Mango, Plup, Cosmos, ZD, and Gluttony all voted in and attending. The invited players of Zero, Mewtwo King, Zachary, Samsora, DeBuzz, MKLeo, Nairo, Void, Armada, and Leffen, along with Light, are all set to compete against them this weekend and earn that first Summit dub for Smash Ultimate, which again, we haven't had a Summit before with Beyond the Summit, so this will be very exciting for much of the community that's been looking forward to this production value and this collaboration between Beyond the Summit and the Smash 4, now Smash Ultimate community. So that about wraps it up for the weekend. Here in a second, we're going to have the co-host with the most. We're going to have Coney join us here in a sec as I set him up. Coney, of course, coming to us from MDVA and coming to us with a little bit of experience personally that he had this weekend with the Smash Online Invitational. We're going to be talking about that. But again, if this is your first time tuning in to the SmashCenter, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button on YouTube. And if you're on Twitch, you're a part of the conversation now. So go ahead and join. Without further ado, we're going to go ahead and bring in Coney, the host with the most, the co-host with the mostest. Yeah, Coney, how's everything been? How's the weather? How are you?
Hi everybody. Still way too cold over here. I hate winter and I love spring, so I'm really hoping that nature stops playing. This sucks.
Yeah, we had a snow day today with 2 inches of snow, so happy about that. But apart from that, jumping into this weekend, like, how'd you feel considering you were at one event watching multiple other events. I mean, how's everything coming back into the weekday now for you?
I mean, it's really good that we have so much Smash stuff to watch all the time. So this past weekend I was at the North America Open for Nintendo, and we'll talk about that in a little bit, but being able to watch Nimbus, which was a one-day event, it was only on Sunday, which was kind of surprising with how fast they ran it.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, super fun to watch. We can get into that in a little bit, but it's really fun to see just how many events are going on at any given time. Ultimate really is, like, I feel like with a new game, there's always the concern, like, is this just going to be a flash in the pan or something? But the fact that a lot of people are continually watching Ultimate at a consistent level, like, I think the viewership for Nimbus was like, what, 50, 60K? And that's while it was dropping all the time. So
yeah, I think it was
pretty good.
I think it hit, I didn't see those numbers. I saw at least 30, mid-30s. I do want to say that, like, props for the 2GG crew and everybody that was involved in it, but it was a very small scale tournament.
Yeah.
The production value, of course, was not it was not high. It was very run-of-the-mill tournament inside a ballroom, half a ballroom.
Yeah.
I think what was important more so was the interactions, which at the end of the day, that's what I found matters more to the scene than anything. The tournament dropped due to internet issues, as reported by 2GG, at least 2 to 3 times for an extended 10 minutes or more. So happened at Genesis, happened at Nimbus. Like, no tournament can truly beat the internet ISP matchup. But apart from that, I mean, last week when we were together, we were pitting Tweak as pretty much just going over there and picking up a ticket to Summit, but we didn't see that happen. I mean, are you surprised, or what are your general thoughts?
Not exactly. Tweak is weird because when the pressure's on him, I feel like he doesn't hold up as well as maybe you think that he might. Mm-hmm. He seems to do his best when less pressure is on him. I mean, like, obviously there's pressure on him at Frostbite, but he didn't have to win that. He didn't have to win at Genesis. Or he had to win at Genesis. That's the thing. When you come into Frostbite, it's like, okay, well, you lost at Genesis, so everybody's eyes are on Leo now because they want to see if Leo's going to win 2 in a row. Oh, well, no, Tweak won. I wonder if that kind of weighs on him. I don't think anybody knows, and obviously if we asked him, he wouldn't be able to tell us because, like, I'm sure he feels like he's the same no matter what, but it's a weird thing because he's really got these super high peaks and I don't want to say low valleys because he's still getting within, you know, top 16, top 8 consistently, but not like 65th some places or something. But it's still, I don't want to say concerning, but it's surprising. Let's say that.
Yeah. It's Tass, actually, I was mentioning, like, to him privately, like, okay, so Tweak being second in the world, like the current branding that's been set up by all the storylines from the end of Smash 4, where it would have been the PGR V6, but instead it was like a PGR 100. Tweak was seemingly the second best in the world behind Leo, and then that kind of bled into Smash Ultimate. Like, Tweak is the second best player, Leo's the first best, but he didn't play like the second best player in the world at Genesis, and he didn't play like the second best player in the world at Nimbus. So that's kind of where I think the preceding tournaments and how Summits kind of hype up a couple players is gonna really matter. You haven't had Leo sort of dip out of top 8 at all, like at all. And the pre-PGR events, like where he went to Glitch and stuff, like, I mean, he was still up there. So I hope for Tweak's sake, like, people, and they won't, but for the most part, like, they remember all performances, not just the most recent ones. But he did make top 7 at Nimbus, but, you know, he didn't get that ticket that everyone thought he would just swoop in. And he even hit that 1K sub goal, so, I mean, that's a little disconcerting.
Yeah, that's even tougher. Yeah. It's really going to hurt him because you know that he wants to be #1 in the world, and placements like that are great by pretty much any standard unless you're trying to be #1, and I know that's gonna hurt him a little bit. So, and to be knocked out by Tweak, who isn't even going, or it wasn't even like he wasn't even in jeopardy of not going, rather, like he was going no matter what. So that kind of sucks, but what can you do? Yeah, it's tough, and it's going to hurt him more once the PGR starts rolling out. But other than that, big ups to Salem for having a great performance. I mean, I know people like to dog on him a lot, and he's been sort of inconsistent. But dude really showed up at this event. Even with Snake, who a lot of people were sort of doubting and saying he wasn't going to be able to do that well with. That's super impressive.
Yeah, and I also do want to shout out and correct myself for Stroder being from Arizona, not from SoCal. He was in SoCal practically all the time during the 2GGC, but he really showed up, and Salem also really showed up with a Snake that differed so far from what I've seen with Ally and MVD Snake. Still a lot of explosives at all times, but seeing Salem in that top 8 with Snake was nice because Link so far, and of course Bayo, like, isn't showing up. But
right, yeah.
His Link was interesting, but Schroeder with Greninja, I mean, experiences with Greninja that you want to mention, because it's seeming like he's very, very good. Not just good, but I feel like he switched tiers with Sheik. Like, Sheik is Greninja tier from Smash 4 now.
Yeah, I think Greninja's top 10. I think he's so safe. Like, that, having such a consistent, reliable kill setup is insane, I think. I think that's the biggest thing, down tilt up smash. Because even if you look at somebody like Fox, who has Nair up smash, yeah, you're always jumping, but you're always in the air. And, I mean, like, anti-airs are a thing. Not to say that it's not oppressive, but it can be a lot more dangerous than a down tilt, especially with how strong Greninja's is, how fast it comes out. And the mix-up on his dash attack. His grab still has really long range, comparatively, so I feel like Greninja is a serious problem. The thing is, you're not going to pick up Greninja as a secondary, and if you mained Greninja in the last game, yeah, you're going to stick with him, but very few people are going to pick up this character, so I think he has that going for him. He's got kind of the Pikachu syndrome where, who plays this dude? Who knows how to play against this? So it's going to take a lot of practice. I don't think he racks up damage as reliably as somebody like Fox or some of the other top tiers, but having that ultra reliable kill setup and having the stage list that we have, like everybody's starting PS2, that up smash is nuts because it always catches on the platform, and it's very easy to tech chase with. I think Greninja is maybe not sleeper anymore, but I've kind of opened up my eyes to the light. I think he's definitely top 10.
Okay, so how's Techie doing? Because is he still competing?
No, he doesn't play anymore.
Okay, so he
plays Apex now.
Previously, MDVA Greninja, he PR'd previously in Smash 4, of course. But yeah, it's curious to see people who stayed with him. I feel like just like Olimar, people who were character loyalists through the end with Greninja are seeing results now. I mean, even Ice Studying. I never considered Ice Studying to be on the same level as Some or Leia. I only really regarded Some as an incredibly skilled Greninja when you're talking about like PGR caliber, and then Stroder was in and out there because he did get Area 51, I believe once, maybe twice. Yeah. But now that they're stayed on him and they're continuing with him with this engine, being able to down tilt out a run now, like
it's an ultimate reward. It's crazy.
Yeah, so Stroder was insane. Pandarian coming out of NorCal Pokemon Trainer, also insane. Don't know what to make about that because he also 3-0'd Larry. So
it's weird. I think Pandarian is going to be a kid to watch. We're going to be hearing his name a lot in a year, I think, because he's very talented, very good, obviously. And I think in Smash 4, a lot of people sort of disregarded him because he was playing Meta Knight, and Meta Knight's sort of a one-trick. I think Pandarian just needs more experience, and I'm just kind of speaking as the guy in my seat. I don't want to take anything away from him or act like I'm not trying to armchair coach. But I think he's super talented. I think that he needs more experience in terms of like being on the stage, playing against these top players. And we kind of saw a little bit of it at Genesis where he beat Armada. So the talent is there. The potential is there. I don't know if he's going to stick with Pokemon Trainer in the long term. If he does, then hopefully, that's something that's good for him. I think he's really talented, and I want to see where he goes.
Yeah, it's pretty no-brainer branding, too, like picking up and being that Pokemon Trainer. I mean, so many people with Leffen, like, almost want him to only play Pokemon Trainer. Sorry, not Pandarian PNW. I don't know why I said NorCal. But yeah, with everything that goes on with Pokemon Trainer, like the switching and then the matchups, you have Zard randomly, etc. That's great for him to represent at least his region, PNW, and North America to an extent anytime he goes international as a Pokemon Trainer. Because I think, like, aside from Leffen, like, Pokemon Trainers right now off the top of my head, I mean, do you recall any? Like,
no.
Yeah.
I mean Sweet Tea's in SoCal, and he's really good. He flies under the radar for a lot of people. Mm-hmm. He had a really close set with someone.
Ned as well. Know. Yeah, Ned. Thank you, chat. Ned as well has Pokemon Trainer. Has one. Yeah.
Yeah, Ned's good. I don't know.
Ned still hasn't reached. Oh, and Wishes as well. Oh yeah, I remember. So this is the thing about these current Pokemon Trainers that chat's mentioning, like Wishes and Ned. I feel like still haven't reached that point of like, oh, it's just like that one breakout. You know, I think once they do that a second time and then inclusively a third time, that'll really cement them as a Pokemon Trainer. I think like the limelight's being not stolen, but like pretty much centered on Leffen right now. Even though he was only playing Roy, really, from what I saw at Nimbus.
Yeah, I think Leffen had it, but now I do think Pandarian's sort of standing out more just because I've seen him on the stage more. I don't know if that necessarily means it's better because Wishes had kind of a sleeper run at Frostbite. We didn't see him on the stage much. Doesn't mean that he's worse, just means that he wasn't as visible. Because some players just haven't gotten the shine they deserve. Like I talked about this last week. Captain Zach got 9th at Genesis and nobody heard about it. So
yeah, this has been a really, like, I just want to take a second to really point out, like, this has been like a really weird period in Smash, and mostly like the Smash 4 community that's now turned Ultimate, like a very weird period in fame, not fame grabbing, but like fame generation. Like you have the oldies, like a Mr. E, right? Like a Brawl coming from
like a Vinny,
like pretty much.
Is this where we're going? Are we talking about the thing I think you're talking about?
Well, I don't know what you're about to mention, but I'm just saying like the oldies getting looked over as if they're just like, oh, okay, this is a 40th seed. Like Mr. E's never been a 40th seed, and he was in that range for Genesis, but like these old legends that, you know, really were the meta doctors for, not meta doctors, they were the meta like constructionists basically for Marth, for in the situation of like, you know, Vinny was like doing a lot with Sheik, doing a lot with Rosa when he was active. Like now it's just different, and like the reputation that they have to uphold, like Zach, like Lima, like Mistake with a character like Bayonetta, and then the other people too coming in with results that they got before with Mario, or those characters that are not meta popular right now, like Ally and Anti, and and Elegant. Like it's so weird now. Like people who are getting wins right now are huge, but also not at the same time. They weren't as huge as like some of the others like back then in the beginning of Smash Ultimate, or sorry, Smash 4.
Yeah, it does feel like a different sort of thing. I don't know if that has to do with the game's sort of overall balance being better, so it doesn't feel as unique if somebody has like a breakout performance on a weird character, just because in the past it was like, okay, Diddy Sheik, Rosalina, Diddy Sheik, Diddy Cloud. But now it's like, we're seeing everything. So maybe, you know, it's just how it is now, and maybe in a year or 2 years when the meta's sort of leveled out a little bit and we're seeing consistent characters in top 8, more so than we're seeing now, maybe that'll be more impressive. But yeah, I agree. It's sort of less of a thing now.
Yeah, and like I'm just curious to see where it goes, because like it also makes just the branding effort so weird. Like Zach got 9th at Genesis, like the biggest tournament we've had so far, and it was just not a thing. But you know, it's also like people kind of want these players that were really big in Smash 4 to sort of like stand behind everybody else as other people are now standing up to bat. I just like to see where we are in a year. Yeah, no, there's definitely a mix. It's not the general, but I'd like to see where we are in a year.
So the place that I thought you were going with that was a Twitter exchange that I saw that was really interesting, where Vinny goes to a local. Vinny lost to Buzz and a Shulk player named SolarArts. But he didn't say that. In a tweet he said, got whatever I got, lost to Buzz and a Shulk. And he was like, red and yellow arts are crazy, I don't know what to do, whatever. You know, just matchup stuff.
Yeah.
But everybody got on him because, you know, that Shulk has a name. His name is Solar. Let's put some respect on his name. Blah, blah, blah.
Respect.
Yeah, and, like, I get it, but, like, at the same... Okay, so, one, it's a local. Two, beating a top player, like, that doesn't entitle you to anything. And he said that he wasn't entitled to anything, but he said that he'd been trying to beat Vinny for 3 years. Now he finally did it, so he was hoping that Vinny would give him a little respect. But a lot of people thought it was clout chasing. So I thought it was kind of interesting because you brought up, you know, the new guard, the old guard. Kind of the old brawlheads don't really have that mentality of, like, at least in my experience, there are a couple of them, obviously, but a lot of them just want to play the game and win and be good. But a new generation really wants to, like, get their name out there and be seen, and maybe that has to do with the branding and with teams and sponsorships being sort of the carrot on the stick. I don't know, but it's kind of interesting to me, just sort of the mentality between the two, because you just saw people butting heads in the mentions, like, from both of them.
Yeah, and I think cloud chasing being the hot button word definitely does differ in how some of the younger players want to be seen versus how they actually are seen, and then the older players, like, because I don't know where Ally stands at the end of the season, for example. Ally being such a heavy name, but also such a lackluster name this season. It's difficult to say that, like, he's not top 10 when he was the beginning of top 10 for, like, what we understood as, like, Smash, you know?
Yeah.
Obviously his brawler.
I mean, that was the whole reason that he got put on that team, because he got put on the Frostbite NA team before results even started coming out. So people were like, all right, he's going to be on it, but now it's like, I don't know.
Yeah, and it's difficult because, like, obviously the players that became legends in Smash 4 did not start as such. They definitely had those tournaments that they made their debut, but a lot of it was, like, these players were always expected to win, always expected to lose to each other only, but now we're seeing a totally new thing. So with Nimbus, like, it almost seems a little bit similar. Like, we would never have seen Mr. R struggle against some of the matchups he had. Similarly, you know, ESAM as well. And some of the game 5s that went with Eon, some of the game 5s that went with Pandarian, the trio that went from Pandarian onto Larry, like, unheard of. And for Larry's case, I just wonder how that'll continue, because, I mean, he hasn't gotten that big main stage win, but he's still regarded as a main stage player. So I think the first rankings are going to be a mess in that sense. Like, the cognitive dissonance of, like, Larry potentially being, like, 46th, you know, like, totally possible. Totally possible.
I think it's going to be weird until the first ranking. And then after the first ranking, people are going to be like, okay, and they're going to establish this mental framework of where people live. And then I think it'll be fine, because that's the new normal. But I think until then, we have these older expectations that people are really... I mean, we keep saying it, and it's becoming sort of a tautology at this point, but it's a new game, you know? Like, things are very different. Some people take a while to catch up. Some people just have that natural talent right away. And some people are, frankly, just working harder than others. So it could be any number of things.
I agree. I think that it's going to be just so weird because of that. But it'll just change so gradually, so immediately. But yeah, I mean, with Nimbus, like, congrats to Light, and
of course,
you know, it'll basically take us into our next topic, which is now the Ultimate Summit preview. Unless you had anything else you wanted to add on Nimbus?
No, just poor Esam. He was a whole stock up, game 5, 10 game set, had a stock up, 20% SDs. Now he's not going to Summit because of it. That sucks. That really sucks.
That'll haunt him for a bit.
Yes.
But, you know, I mean, still two tremendous players. And Esam has been doing well from the beginning, which, you know, Pikachu loyalist, but also Pikachu being really good. So hand in hand, props to him. But now taking a look at the Summit Ultimate preview, I think that this lineup's pretty solid. I'll be honest. I think Light making it in was the best timeline, if not Tweak. But you can't have it all. I mean, did you really prefer Tweak over Light, or?
Gameplay-wise, I would have liked to see Tweak there, but that's also because I really like watching Wario, and I'm sick of Fox. I hate Fox. I've always hated Fox. So that's kind of it. And we already had ZD there, but now we have ZD and Light. I mean, Light's one of my favorite players. Light, like I love Light personally. His gameplay's super fun to watch. I just, it's Fox. I've been seeing this Fox do the same thing forever, so I wanted to see Tweak there, but I really like Light, so it's not a big deal. I think this is a great lineup. I think we've kind of belabored the point week after week, so I don't want to spend too much time on it, but I think it's going to be really fun to watch, especially seeing how these players sort of interact on the couch. It's going to be really cool. I'm excited.
Yeah, I think it'll be cool in all respects, but what do you think the impact will be? Like, now that we see who's going, now that we see the sort of what's brewed on Twitter between different people, which seems like not too much animosity aside from things concerning Alem Say, but apart from that,
I'm gonna be honest, that was the best timeline. seeing Salem on that couch with Mango and Leffen been a delight.
Oh man. What do you think it'll reach viewership wise? Because that's always a great sort of metric, even though it's one that's sort of like a freak accident. Like you can have the best event, like Frostbite 2018. Yeah, Frostbite 2018, like a great event. Really fun. Everyone that went mentions like the on-demand side events, like the panels, like all the stuff you get to do, like Dead of Winter or whatever. But it was like DeBuzz won it, and it was like 4 Bails in top 8. Can't really do much about that,
Yeah, I emceed that event. That sucked. Trying to get the crowd up for that. I emceed that event. That was not easy.
So you were there, but then other situations, I mean, like, Civil War, like it was just crazy. Like it was insanity.
I emceed that too, and that was incredible. Yeah.
But like again, like you can seed it and everything, but like, Frostbite 2017, a crazy counterexample. Like, who would have ever pitted Sue as second? And like what it created after that was just crazy. So, I mean, this event is slated to be crazy, right? But also viewership-wise, I mean, I think it should be high. I think it should be at least 60, maybe 70, maybe 50. I don't know. Maybe that's too high, actually.
Well, you got to keep in mind the Melee presence. That's a big deal, and that's a reason that they picked a lot of the people that they picked, is because they have that sort of baked-in audience. It's not going to be 100%. It's obviously not 1-to-1, but it is a piece. So I think trying to guess the viewership and the amount of people that are going to watch from Melee is kind of a fool's errand, because we don't have really analytics on that sort of thing. But I think it's worth considering. I think it's going to be less impactful than maybe a lot of other people might think. I don't think it's going to change the world. I think it's going to be a great event. And it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun to watch, but I think it's going to be another... I don't see it being sort of
over under 50
era defining like Civil War was,
over under 50
consistently, or peaks.
No, like for Summit, like over under 50.
That's what I'm saying. Consistently, like 50 all the time, or 50 like during peaks.
Oh, that's what you mean. I guess peak.
It's gonna peak over 50.
Yeah, you think?
No question. Yes,
all right.
Absolutely.
I believe
that. I think it's absolutely gonna peak over 50, but consistently, I don't know, because I don't really watch Melee Summits all that consistently, so I can't give you a number on that. But it'll definitely peak over 50, I think, just for the finals.
Okay.
I don't think there's a question on that. Just you've got Melee people tuning in for Melee people, and even if the Melee dudes aren't in finals, like Mango will be on the mic, of course. Like they're not gonna not do that. He's their golden goose. So
that is gonna be that's just gonna be so funny.
It's gonna be fun to watch. Yeah.
Yeah. For what it counts to, I mean, like, what do you think this event could mean for Zero? Because I think, like, seeing him now for the second time really out and about competing, like, do you think he'll get at least third or not even fifth?
No.
Because everybody that gets there just wins money because it's an auto top 16.
Yeah. I've got Zero. He's gonna do better than the Melee players, but I'll put him at a cool 7th. That's what I think I would do. And not to say that he's not good. He's a great player. But...
Oh, obviously. Yeah. Maybe he's been cooking, though, you think? Because, like, one of the cool things about Zero in the previous game, at least, was he was flying players to his place.
Right.
Legitimately, I think... after he lost to Day at Evo, he flew out a bunch of Lucarios to his place to just practice. He's flown many people, many a person to just play, which is...
He definitely has the diligence, yeah.
Yeah, and he was doing that, like, super discreet, and he was also doing it the entire time. So,
yeah.
The entire time now, though, is that he is, like, streaming, so you always know what he's doing, but I don't know, on his off time, is he actually practicing to be the most incredible Ultimate player? I don't know, like... We'll see.
Not from his own acknowledgement. I mean, he's made it very clear that he's just a streamer. He's not trying to be a competitor. He is just a content creator. So, like, of his own admission, he is not striving to be the best. That said, I think he's just naturally very good. I think we've seen in the rotations he's had with top players that he can definitely take games. But I think when push comes to shove and everybody's using their mains and things get serious, I don't know if he's going to be able to hang with everybody in the house. And that's just me doubting. I think he's a great player. I'm not, he's great. I don't know. We'll see. But I'm going to put him, like I said, I'm going to stick with it. I'm going to put him at like 5th or 7th. He'll probably get one really good upset. Maybe on somebody like suar. But I don't see him like winning the whole thing.
Honestly, though, like, if he did win, though, that would make it so annoying for everything we got going right now. Like,
it just kill everything. Like, yeah. Oh, son of a bitch.
Because MK Leo's amazing right now, Tweak's amazing right now, Sam's amazing right now, and Light's amazing right now. If he were to beat all 4, then that would draw in this very annoying comparison constantly with, like, him obviously not competing. He did get, he did get top 16, I know that much, from Smash Conference United, underdog boost or not. But, like, if he were to beat them, all of a sudden it's like, well, who is the best right now? And the other thing, too, I wanted to cover, was the fact that it's excluded from the PGR, reason being... Not that it's an invitational, because the Umaburas in the past have counted, and those have been invitationals every now and then. And what they do is like qualifier spots, and so if you win, you're automatically in. And then if you go to a second tournament and you win, and you've already qualified, then the second most highest player, etc., etc., etc. So they have a way to get to the Umabura. Sumabado does it as well, like how to get to the final... Tokaigi is the one I'm talking about. Tokaigi, like the Nico Tokaigi things, like they have a means to qualify to get into that, and so that's always been very equitable. And so if you win, you get it, and that's always been fair. The ruling on invitationals not counting really came from PAX when Konga essentially got 30-something on the PGR that he got on because he beat Void and I want to say Anti and everybody else at that PAX West, right? But that's a media event. So what they do is they get the 5 relevant players from around the world and then 2 or 3 locals. And in East, one season it was Mars and Pug West beat Anti. And everyone was kind of like okay with that. But in the West, when they had it in the Pacific Northwest, Konga just slapped a bunch of people, and that like obviously caused a whole entire imbalance. And so people were like, oh, why can he do that? Like, why did he get that privilege to go? Casismos was there too, but he didn't get to like make much of a splash. So we're like, oh, that's true. Like if you can't, if your layman can't get into the event, then it can't be something that, you know, is determining rankings because it's like exclusive. And so Summit falls into that because it's also because of the way Summit's made. It's a media event, so from off the bat, Nairo and MKLA were all brought on, and everybody else. And then it was the money aspect, which is just like, that's all whack. And they did have last chance qualifier spots, but of course then there's no way to really calibrate it for the PGR this season. And for example, if like Mango beats Tweak and Samsora, like what would that even turn into? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the whole thing is just like media event, let it be. But you know, for what it matters, like of course if Zero gets those crazy wins, people are gonna be like kind of wanting that to matter. So it'll be its own thing later. But I do think that it'd be really cool if Zero did one, win, and then two, it'd be cool if a melee player win. One, but it's already been proven a couple times now that like it's kind of unlikely.
Yeah, I don't think that's happening. I think
Leffen's like the best case scenario, but not Mango, not Armada.
Oh, Plup's pretty good, but I think
not the
I
same
think,
level as Leffen.
I don't think it's happening. I think winner is going to go to. It could go to anybody. Leo's the safe pick, right? But who knows? Samsor has beaten him before. Void is great. There's a bunch of people. Zach Ray's obviously really talented. Could go anyway. I don't see any melee player tearing through all those people unless they got a killer bracket of people that they were totally like ready for. Yeah, we'll see. But yeah.
Awesome. Well, Summit will be this weekend, of course, with the 7th. Oh wow, yeah, the 7th. Being the media day. Really excited for the skits. I think that'll be cool.
Yeah.
It'll also be a huge like crossing of worlds because all the big Ultimate players will be there, both from the previous Smash 4 lineage and the Melee lineage. So we'll see how they interact together on camera.
It'll be fun. Yeah.
I hope it's as intensely awkward as possible. But they always do it without the editing. So the Melee skits have always been A1. I think my favorite one were the ones involving Crush. There was that scene that they mimicked from American Psycho.
American Psycho.
Oh my god.
The Patrick Bateman thing. Yeah, it was pretty good. Crush is a pretty good actor. That's I gotta be honest. That's one of the reasons that I'm not going to Summit is because I'm an actual actor and I was really excited to like do those skits. Those are really fun. But yeah, he was great. Next time. Hopefully, maybe. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. Well, talking about the big boy stuff, you were involved this weekend and turning over to our open mic. We want to talk about this North American Open because Coney, you did it this weekend, and it happened during Nimbus, or actually not even because they were both on 2 different days.
Right.
But the feed not really showing much aside from John Numbers winning, which is great because John Numbers I feel is like the Nintendo event sniper.
Yeah, he always does that.
He won the overall Nintendo, whatever it's called. I don't even know what they're called. Where the multi-game
World Championships.
Yeah, he won that. I think maybe twice.
He won it in 2015. Ido won in 2017. Remember Ido? Yeah. Ido won in 2017. Numbers was second place. He was the runner-up.
Okay, so he was there. He was still there. I don't even know where to go to apply for these things if I wanted to.
Me neither. I don't know. They're just online things, I think.
But here it is. And one of the things I want to talk about during open mic was, so if this showed up, right? If this showed up and leaked on whatever board you would see it, the logo itself of Super Smash Bros. Ultimate North American Open 2019. For people who would know, they'd be like, no way that Nintendo's making a circuit. But for anybody else, it would have been like, finally, there is a situation where Nintendo has reached across the aisle to figureheads, community leaders in our community to make this fully realized esports circuit concept, blah, blah, blah. CPT, the thing that that NetherRealms does with Injustice and Mortal Kombat, what CSGO and of course League do, and now Overwatch with the Overwatch World League. That would have been what one would think, and that would have been what one would hope for. But instead, and not that it's awful, but instead it's an online event that features unconventional rule sets, unconventional to us because ours are unconventional if I were to argue.
Sure.
And it's purely online, features items, and some people like just have now glossed over it. Like, of course, it does not impact the competitive scene in the slightest. I mean, as far as ranking goes, obviously nothing. As far as meta goes, kind of diluted by the inclusion of items. But do you think that the community is making the most out of this opportunity? Because it seems like this is the way that someone else has made a lot of headway by playing in a similar vein, which was Alfred's Invitational, which popped off, right? I mean, you were there for both because that was part of your 30th block at Frostbite. But how does that make you feel, like, overall?
It's funny because so EE and I took a picture together after the latest after this weekend when we were done commentating, and he took a picture of us in front of the set, and we're like, hey, we just finished up the online open thing, really excited. And somebody tweeted at us like, have you talked to Nintendo about the rule set? And we're like,
wrong group, bro. Wrong group.
Yeah, one, no. Two, why would we? There's this expectation that Nintendo, like, there's a certain level of entitlement that I see from Smashers. Like, why doesn't Nintendo give us support? Why doesn't Nintendo give us these huge pot bonuses? Why doesn't Nintendo run a circuit? I'm really sensitive to that. I get really pissed off when I see that consistently, because it's like, they don't owe us anything. The game's gonna sell like crazy no matter what. They don't need to put in a $10,000 pop bonus so maybe somebody competitive will pick up Smash. Those are nice to haves, but it's not something that we need. And
yeah, that's not talked about in the board meeting for sure.
Yeah, when I'm talking about this, I'm not talking about this as like somebody that has just worked for Nintendo or like as a Nintendo representative. This is strictly me. This is Coney. You're getting my perspective.
Open mic.
I love that they're doing this, because there is an insanely I don't want to say underserved, because now that sounds like political, but there is an insane just
untapped.
There's an untapped oil well of this sort of casual competitive group, right? And Nintendo is trying to serve them because they're there. And we know that they're there because that Alpha Rad Casual Invitational had 500,000 views before I flew home. Like, that exists. And Nintendo consistently hits the registration cap for these online open events. Consistently. Over and over.
It was 2056 this time, right?
Something like that. It was over 2,000. But my point is that this stuff serves someone. It may not serve you, but you're going to tournaments anyway. You're getting your fill that way. I don't think Nintendo should be sort of chastised or condemned for doing their own thing. They've always done their own thing, and their own thing right now is making their game in a different way. They have items on low. Like, for the love of God, they're on low. Not to say that it's not changing the match, but I went from the online open where everybody's like, wow, Nintendo items, really? I can't believe it. This is so uncompetitive. Really, run a real tournament. To the next weekend, I was at Frostbite, and people are like, oh my God, this is so great. I want to see more content like this. This was hilarious. Like, and I get that one is purporting to be somewhat competitive and the other is just silly, but Nintendo is never trying to act like this is the prestige, you know? They're not trying to act like this is the Olympics out here. They have their own tournament. The winner goes to PAX. It's a very nice thing for them to do for us, and I wish that people would just kind of get their head out of their ass. That's just me.
Yeah, it's definitely a net positive. More people buying, even just Smash Ultimate, just buying it, leaves them at least the potential to one day search up competitive Smash or Smash Tournament, because they're like, I want to play and see if people around me play. That's a net positive. The net positive as well was it being obviously on the Switch, which is the fastest selling Nintendo console, and on the Switch eShop, which is a huge like portal to anybody now seeing it, as opposed to a storefront or whatever else. And with these events, like, I felt the same way. Like, this is great. This is not for us, and we need to understand it for a moment. And I know that within now over 15 years almost, with like the early grassroots being almost undocumented, but for what started with like Genesis 1 and the first like Pound and the first, foray into Evo, I think that, we've obviously sacrificed a lot. People before us have walked so we can run, but it's still this sort of awkward pressure to be imposing on a company that has made its way to start recognizing us in an official capacity. Because what's nice about this is that the E3 Invitational featured Jordan Kent along with TK, EE, and
not EE.
It was
Vish and Vicky.
Yeah, Vish, Vicky, TK. Yeah, EE has EE's been on the online invitationals, and that's great because that's more of a Nintendo's showing like, okay, we're going to work with you to get the sort of production you want, as opposed to putting what we think you want, which I don't think Jordan Kent was that at all. But there was this fear that if Nintendo gets involved with our esport, that we're going to get all replaced with just like a bunch of like Hollywood anchormen ready, to just spit whatever we're talking about. Right. as well as like, you know, the same streamers and stuff like being replaced, like 2GG, VGBC, which the online open is different, but you know what I mean? Like, would the tournaments be replaced with now you're fighting for a Switch instead of 10,000, or now, you know, you on stream, like, you can't say this and that. Regardless, like, it's always been a huge question mark, but for what they're doing right now, like, I think it's great, and I think that the biggest thing to do right now is just share it. Like, just share it, show them that this is being seen, you know? Like, the awkward part is that I still don't understand, and I've gone on the website, but I still don't understand the timing, and I know that it's in different places all at once. I know it was happening in Vegas. Where were you this weekend? You were in Chicago?
I was in Chicago. They were in 4 different places. So I was in Chicago. TK and Senpai were in Texas. The analyst desk, which was Jordan, Vicky, and Toph, were in Vegas, along with Webs and D1. Yeah, Toph was there at the desk, and then DC and Vish were in Seattle, Redmond, whatever. So it's like there are. It's not the most what's the word? Intuitive thing.
I mean, it's clearly coordinated. I mean, everybody being everywhere at once, but it's also like, I don't know. So you had the online event 1, which happened. Online event 2
just happened.
Finals on March 2nd. So that just happened. And online event 3, qualifiers in March 9th. So that's this weekend. So that's during Summit, which is hilarious.
Well, that's not the stream this weekend. That's just the qualifiers. So you play this weekend, and then the top 8 is the next weekend. So we're going back on the 15th.
Yeah, but for what happened last weekend, the same thing is happening this upcoming weekend.
Oh, I got you. Yeah. Yeah,
the qualifiers. And the other thing, too, that's funny is that this all started on Genesis weekend. So it could not be more not detached. It could not be more desynced from our scene, because it's not for us, which I think is fine. Like, I think it's totally cool that it's not fine, not for us necessarily, because I don't think that's where they're going to get their money's worth right now. I think that getting everybody involved in the scene and, you know, involving their other titles, because at the end of the day, like, Nintendo's not a Smash company, which I think so many Smashers have trouble understanding, especially when it comes to the directs, which, of course, with directs, it's just such a volatile time, because, like, so many people are in line for that one morsel, and Metroid fans, like, basically got their piece at the last E3, or the 2 E3s ago, and even then it was just a title, right? Not even gameplay.
I'm waiting for Pikmin. Yep, I feel
Pikmin, and then there's like the Earthbound folks. I mean, I don't even want to get into it. Or the Mother 3 folks, but like, like, they don't just do Smash, so like they still have other titles to uphold. I mean, I don't know where ARMS is right now. I think they're doing something similar with this, but from ARMS to Mario Kart, from Splatoon all the way up to Smash, like, it's very much like Nintendo is trying new things in a world that is very different from the one they began in, and I think their steps are clumsy at times, but also Nintendo has a branding to, like, protect and uphold. And if they were to support something like, and they have supported Genesis, they have supported Frostbite and Shine and all these other things, but they haven't necessarily gone out monetarily and, like, been like, here's this $100,000 cup or this $100 million cup, like Epic Games has with Fortnite. There's risks involved with all of that, and they're trying to limit all those risks, because at the end of the day, like, they're liable for a lot, because Epic Games, they make a misstep, so far from what I've understood, at least from Slasher on Twitter, like, the Fortnite esports foray has been anything but neat. Patches day of the events, they even released like an item, bugs and things. Like, it's a mess, but clearly it's a marketing thing more so than a competitive integrity esports thing, which Smash is obviously always trying to do. But I think that, like, they're not there yet, and they're still trying. The fact that they do, like, partner with these events as small scale as they had, is still a step, and I think that we do well to, like, support the online event, and even, like, maybe even be a part of it like John Numbers was, because, like, how much better can you get than to be like at that sort of table, such as like yourself and Vicky. When they asked her like, so what do you all think? What do you think we could do next year? And then you could say, well, I think this would be hype if we maybe had a pro series where like you had items off, or you played with a pro in doubles. I mean, there's so much to do instead of being like, no, and then just shutting it.
Yeah. That's well, I've noticed that I feel like a lot of the competitive side just, they want it their way and that's it. And a lot of people aren't being as supportive of this as I wish they would be. I mean, it's the same thing that we talked about before, where ESPN Esports or whatever coverage that our game is getting, we really should be doing our due diligence and promoting that stuff and making it a big deal, because just only liking your flavor of cake isn't going to get us any. You should really be supporting anything that Nintendo does that gets any amount of eyes on our scene. Not to say that you have to. No, but I was gonna say you don't need to support it blindly. Don't get me wrong.
Sure.
But I think something like this is, if you can't see the value in this, in maybe a 12-year-old kid going to PAX because he won his trip because he had a little bit of a silly thing in items, but now he's gonna be on this big stage. Like, that's awesome. That's a great story. John Numbers is gonna be going now because he won from the Northeast, and then there are winners in 3 different regions, and I think Devontae was a Wario player that won in the Southeast, if I'm not mistaken. Mm-hmm. So he's going to be going. And then there are just, I think Mystic is a Ridley. It was either Mystic or Tipster, but one of those two won in a different region. It's just, I love seeing all these names that we've never seen before, because it sort of suggests that there are these players that are flying slightly below the radar. Maybe this is the kick to get them in on the scene. Not just the ones that are winning either, but these guys had to play 10 matches to get to finals. All those people who are looking at this maybe for the first time, this might be something that draws them. So I just think you got to keep that perspective. That's all.
Yeah, totally agreed. For all points, considering like the potential for someone not us to pop off, I think that's
right.
Going to stun a lot of people. It's something that it just helps everybody. And I think that
no question.
People just like forget all that. But the one last piece to open mic actually that I can't believe we forgot about to mention, something that chat actually just reminded me about. Don't you remember what happened last week? We had Evo Evolution 2019's lineup. We're transitioning now from Nintendo keeping people almost disappointed to Evo actually keeping an entire community disappointed. What did we think, at least from what you saw, the Evo lineup being what it was? I mean, it really took me by surprise, only because of past history. But for anyone that didn't know, Evo announced their lineup and a key game was missing. You want to tell us about that, Coney?
Yeah, so Melee's gone. Okay. Again, while we're talking about perspective, Melee had, 6 years? 5 years, 6 years. 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. 6 years. Come on. Like, I get it. The viewership is nuts. So if anybody has a reason to keep it going, it's Evo. And if they want to make the choice to not have it anymore, that's their decision. But we're not entitled to that spot. Like, we've had it for 6 years. Evo doesn't want to have it anymore. That's fine. Let them do their thing. I think that they're thinking that Ultimate is going to eat enough of that lunch that they're going to... Like, they're thinking that Ultimate is the real, like, sort of... Everybody's coming in on that. Everybody's going to funnel into it.
Everyone is.
Yeah, and I don't know if they realize that the competitive scenes are, at least right now, still a little bit stilted. But I think that they're hoping that Ultimate eats up enough of that to offset any issues. And right now, Ultimate has the highest entrant count, so maybe they're right. But I don't think this is as
dire. What was like the end of the scene, the end of era? Of course, yeah. They reacted well. I mean, we saw every grassroots tournament pop off with registration tweets, and I don't know. I mean, I'm actually, I kind of appreciate the point you're taking, because like, it would feel better, but the two things: one, some of these games aren't even out yet, and two, it seems now like there was a marketing effort made to like make this as big as possible, but also Melee has broken concurrent records for Evo multiple times.
Right, yeah.
So where does that, do they think it's just going to be an Ultimate now? Like, Ultimate's leading the leaderboards for registration at least, which is nice. But apart from that, like, is it just? Do you feel it's just in that sense?
Well, if I'm being honest, I don't think Melee is owed anything. I don't think it's deserving of anything. I don't think there's any justice to be like talked about because it had 6 years. That's a very long time. Just to be clear, that's insane. So it got its shine.
Do you think it could come back? All things considered.
Yeah, absolutely. I think so. I think it's got to ride the wave out because right now the wave is Ultimate, and people are thinking that that's going to sort of beat it out. And there's the whole lull of like, is Melee dying? Blah blah blah. I think a lot of people think that Evo is more in tune with that than they are. I don't think Evo cares. I think Evo just wants to do something else, and that something else is bringing back Samurai Showdown and showing some love to Eunice. They're willing to do that rather than eat up, the insane viewership numbers or entrant count that Melee has. If they want to put their priorities into that, again, that's their decision, and you can't really fault them for it. But they're doing that for a reason. They wouldn't just kick out such a sort of prestigious game with insane viewership, for this many years running. They wouldn't do that for no reason. So I think you just kind of have to respect their decision, or don't care, and don't go. But sort of this mealy mouth, just sort of, we don't need Evo. Fuck them. I don't care about them. I don't want to have Evo. But actually, I really wish we were there. I don't like having both of them. So it's one or the other. I think Melee could definitely come back. But I think people acting like this is the beginning of the end are a little bit short-sighted.
Yeah, I haven't seen too many beginning of the end. I think every community leader responding to it, from Tafo to Crimson, or Blur rather, all the way from Toph, Scar. It was more so like I don't think any of them were, we don't need Evo, we don't need them. Definitely people that follow them said that. There were expletives thrown towards Evo, of course. But I don't think the relationship was ever smooth, to be quite honest, even in Smash 4.
I agree.
From the moment Bear sort of headed that side of things, there was always scores of complaints pre and during Evo. From setups to layout to scheduling to bracketing, it was always like, the biggest thing is 2 out of 3s up until grand finals. Like, listen, like having Xanadu like that and having Evo like that, like one is not like the other.
That's
like,
a good point. That's a good
shouldn't be that way. But it's also like, listen, like this isn't Genesis. This isn't SmashCon, the Smash only park and ride. It's Evo. There's like, they got to get through Mortal Kombat, Street Fighter, like everything. So there has to be some compromises. But the community is known to not make any compromises, especially Melee's on the setup side, because you need the CRTs, you need the space. So I don't know. It's weird that like so many people were shook by it, but the entire time they definitely didn't make it seem like they wanted it any other way, if I'm real.
Yeah, Smashers are very all or nothing and not really one for sort of subtlety or tact.
Yeah, and a lot of biting of the hand that feeds, which I feel like it's just like, this tournament sucks, screw them, and it's like, all right, we're not hosting you next year, and it's like the white guy blinking, like, oh, like, well, I mean, natural consequences. But regardless, Melee will be fine. I mean, Full Bloom and Pound and SmashCon, everything that's coming up. I mean, the Summer of Smash is going to be slated with all sorts of events for both Ultimate Melee and only Ultimate, so it'll be fine. But Ultimate at EVO, I mean, that's going to be hype.
It's going to be super fun. I don't think it's going to do nearly as well in terms of viewership for,
or maybe,
like, I don't think it's going to touch Melee. I think if it would have done it already. Like, I went back and I did look. So Nimbus had like 30 something for top, and like again, a lot of that was because the stream was dying, and I do think that was sort of an under publicized tournament. A lot of people didn't realize that was even happening.
It was a C tier.
Yeah, but
not a lot was on the line.
I don't think Ultimate is going to It might. I don't think it's gonna keep eyes glued on the screen. I think people will tune in. They'll be like, "Oh, that's really cool." But Melee is captivating at a different level just because it's
Melee.
It's like watching. Yeah, it's like watching a high level Tetris game. It's just like, how are these guys doing this? Like, you're playing so incredibly fast and you can't even make sense of it. Meanwhile, Ultimate, I think it's really impressive and it's great to see, but I don't think it has that wow factor when you first look at it, you know? Mm-hmm. And part of that is because it's a game that came out in 2018 and looks good, as opposed to, like, why are they playing this Nintendo 64 game? Holy crap,
which is even more impressive, too.
Yeah, exactly.
Because if you even touch it, you're like, this is so clunky, but it's not, you know?
Right.
It's just frame perfect. But, yeah, I mean, I think that sums it up for not only EVO, but also Open Mic. I think if it does break viewership, that's a net positive, obviously.
Oh, that'd be huge.
If it doesn't, I'd be a tiny bit disappointed. Only because with the breakout of the Switch, with the connectivity we have now to not only each other but our figureheads and even Nintendo to an extent, like,
sure,
there should be that push. And what is nice, at least, not nice, but it's kind of a, I don't know, funny benefit of Melee not being at EVO, is that you can only really focus on Ultimate that weekend and it'll have a Sunday spot.
That's a good point, yeah. That
at least make it so that Leffen and Mango and anybody that wants to give their 2 cents can, and it's not
right.
And it's not that they're gonna be there or anything. So I personally think we can break those records, but also whatever story generates from now until that summer, I mean, the rankings will be out by then, so I think that will help. Because I think right now too is like all the commentators, all the storylines, all the taglines for tournaments, like, that features a bunch of people, but then they bust her out at 49th, and it's like, they're still trying to learn the game. But once the minted top 50 comes out, I think that'll really, really help. Like,
once the benchmark is set, I feel that.
Because right now you can get lucky if you come in tardy, or if, like, you know, you haven't even done anything yet, or if you got some stuff from the beginning. But aside from Leo Tweaks and Sora, Light, and DeBuzz, at least at the super consistent levels, like, even Naro's struggling to be right there. He's there, but, like, right there. Like,
yep, I agree.
You know, he was top 3 all time. Like, he's not top 3 right now. At least he's not playing like he is. So that's that on that. Any other parts that you wanted to add to Open Mic, Coney, before we close out?
Not that I can think of. I would have talked about the Vinny Soul Arts kind of deal, because I do think that's interesting, but I think we kind of covered that enough. So yeah, I think that's it.
Cool. Well, it's been another week. It's been another SmashCenter. Coney, we're gonna say bye to you. You can always find him at twitch.tv/ConeyZZ. Similarly, jokes.
Twitch.tv/Coney. Twitter is ZZ. Dude, I'm trying to get rid of the ZZ. Seriously, if you work at Twitter watching some reason, please. The guy tweeted one time in 2009 and not since. Please, for the love of God, help me out. Anyway,
that's awful. So yeah, on Twitter, I'll correct myself. You can find Coney at Coney, ZZ as in zebra. Thanks, Coney. We'll see you next week. We'll have Summit happen this weekend, so next week we'll have a lot to talk about regarding that, because, like, I don't even know. So thanks, Coney, for that. We're gonna turn over now to the closeout, the signing out. Of course, when it comes to SmashCenter, my name is Suar from PGstats, and it's been a pleasure to bring you once again the coverage that we've been able to give Ultimate and everybody that's, you know, sort of been, like, following this whole hype train. And yeah, if you haven't already, please hit that like and subscribe button on YouTube. If you're on Twitch, we'll see you next time. We're trying to get this to full podcast status by converting to Apple and SoundCloud, but we're still looking into that, trying to gauge the need. But for the most part, if you have any feedback, you can always reach me at PG_Suar on Twitter. You can also hit up the PGstats account at the PGstats if you want to, for whatever reason, let us know as a team any feedback regarding our coverage, the PGR itself, or if you want to throw some pre-PGR flames, because it's always what happens. My name's Suar. Really enjoyed the time. We'll be seeing you next week. Thanks again to the co-host Coney and our writer Thwack. You can find him at ThwackSmash on Twitter. He's an amazing analyst and coverage writer. We need more of those in the scene. And if you're wondering why we don't have that many, it's because people are struggling with the whole reading bit. So if you see an article, make sure you share it, you read it, you do all that. And yeah, I think that's been enough. We'll see you next time. We'll do the whole thing next week, and we'll catch you there. So see ya. Have a good night and peace.